Hey everybody, and welcome to The Void, a show dedicated to filling the void between being an employee and becoming self-employed. Most people refer to starting their own company as taking the leap, as if they're blindly jumping off a cliff and into the unknown. This show is here to help you understand that it doesn't have to be that way. As always, if you like what you're hearing on the show, please do us a favor and help share The Void with somebody else who might be wanting to start their own company. We saw an opportunity to help others understand that self-employment is well within your reach, and just as our businesses have grown organically and by word of mouth, we want this show to grow the same way. So if you see somebody asking questions about starting their own service-based business, please do us a favor and send them a link to the show. I'm your host, Mitch Smedley, and with me as always is David Hilton.
Mitchell.
Yes, sir.
You know how when you get really tired, you're like slap happy?
Yep.
I feel like I'm right on the edge.
Is that you right now?
Yeah. I think a lot of stupid shit's going to come out of my mouth today.
Well, you know, that happens.
I mean, more than normal.
Yeah.
I guess I should say. I have something to...
I do know the feeling.
Yeah. I have something that's been bothering me.
Uh-oh.
This whole...
I won't look at it. I'm not a doctor, and I won't take a look.
First off, I wouldn't ask. It would just come out. Look at this. Does this look infected?
Look at my cat brain.
What is this? This whole, like, we've talked about celebrities a lot, like, especially in the beginning.
Yep.
Like 2 years ago. What is the obsession with Taylor Swift? I don't get it.
So I posted this in the Tradewinds group, and it didn't get very much reaction, and I don't think I wrote it very well. But...
not surprised. I mean, that's a shame.
So we normally have, like, we have season tickets. We normally have tickets up on the third level, visitor side goal line. Okay. And they're great seats. Anything in the third level is great seats. Well,
down low in the third level. Yeah.
Yeah. We're row 5 in the third level.
You can really see the field.
Yeah. And so this game, the Bears game, one of my plumbers, Spencer, he asked me before they even released the schedule. He said, hey, I think the Bears are due to come to Arrowhead. If they come, can I have your tickets? I have family from Chicago. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then they released the schedule, and Spencer's like, hey, the Bears are coming. Is it still okay? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Right?
Yeah, bro.
And so stayed true to my word, gave him my tickets. Yeah,
he's such a nice guy.
He's cool, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of why I got the tickets, is for things like that, right? And so I still wanted, there's a couple of games I'm not going to be able to go to, so I still wanted to go to the Bears game. And so I gave him mine, and then I bought 4 more. And
do they, when you have season tickets, do they, like, if you call your rep or whatever and say, hey, I need 4 tickets, do they look for you, or do you still got to go out on StubHub?
I went to Facebook.
Or Tickets for Less or whatever.
I went to Facebook and asked my friends if anybody has any tickets for sale.
There you go.
And that post got overran by scammer bots.
Yeah, that's why I hate Facebook.
I know. But I managed to get a set of 4 from somebody that I've bought tickets before. I know it's not, it's legit.
And you said they were lower level?
They were lower level. So we were goal line, 3-yard line, Chiefs side, drum deck end zone, Chiefs side, and we were 10 rows back.
Oh, nice. Those are good tickets.
Yeah, pretty good
Those
seats.
Really good
now,
tickets. It's so flat down the bottom, it's hard to see.
Full disclosure, I don't think I would buy those tickets again.
Yeah.
Because
it's hard to, you can't see the game real well.
Half the game is amazing.
Yeah.
The half of the game that's in front of you is awesome. The other half of the game, you're watching it on the big screens because you can't tell if they ran 2 yards or 12 yards. You know what I mean?
That's why I don't go to games.
Yeah.
Nothing personal.
Now, up top, you can see everything, and it's great. Yeah. The other challenge with down low is everybody stands the whole game, which I don't mind, but my kids can't see. So my kids are having to stand in the seats, which is no big deal. But then the people behind them can't see, and it's just kind of a cluster,
It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah. And so, watching the games in the stadium's already a challenge enough because you don't get good replays, you don't get statistics, you don't get analysis. It's basic, like the only replays you get are fan biased to get the crowd to roar.
Well, that's why I sent you. Did you get my? I don't even know if you got my text. So on the very first drive, there was a hold in the end zone, like a blatant hold, should have been a safety. Yeah. And I texted to you. I was like, dude, I know you're not going to see this.
No, yeah. Well, yeah, and then cell reception kind of sucks in the stadium during the games, right?
It's awful.
So anyway, we're down low. Cool seats, cool experience. Grant is loving it because he gets to go down to the rail.
Did you and him go?
Me, Grant, Mason, and one of Mason's buddies.
Oh, okay.
And so the boys know that they get to take turns bringing a friend if I'm not bringing somebody with me.
Yeah.
And Danielle's no longer allowed to go to the Chiefs games because everyone she goes to, we lose. So literally every loss the Chiefs have had in the last 2 years, she's gone to the game.
Yep, she can't go.
Yeah. Except for the Super Bowl. We didn't go to that. We're not.
Yeah.
We don't got money. So, but
it's called plastic.
Yeah.
Isn't that what everyone does?
Yeah, swipe the card and let it figure itself out.
Yeah, it'll work itself
so,
out.
Grant
I'm not
got
giving that as business advice for all of you. Stop with your spending.
Grant went down to the rail and he was, getting fist bumps from the players and he was trying to get an autograph, but he was wearing a Tony Gonzalez jersey and he was going to have him autograph his jersey. And because Tony Gonzalez retired he spent his last year as a Falcon and then retired as a Falcon.
Yeah.
Like there's a bit of a skid mark on Tony G's name in the Chiefs realm. Yeah, and so I'm like, dude, you're not going to get anybody to autograph that jersey. I'm sorry.
So I had a Tony Gonzalez autographed jersey in my old house in the basement. When we moved, I sold some of those. That was the first one to go. I was like, fuck you, dude. Sold. Take it. And I sold it cheap and didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, Grant got a fist bump from Andy Reid. He got a fist bump from Travis Kelce.
Andy Reid, nice.
Yeah, like
coach.
Yeah, I mean he got some cool stuff, right? And so then, flyover happens. So those 4 Apache helicopters, that was fucking cool because they were really low.
Yeah,
like you could see landing gear.
I thought it was probably going to be helicopters so normally, like when the B-2 and the A-10s go, they circle over my house.
Right.
Like, and I mean right over my house, and they're low. Well, I didn't see any, which means it's usually helicopters.
Yeah.
Because they burn a lot of fuel. They won't just be out there for an hour messing around.
Yeah, and so the helicopters go over, and then there's like a minute or two before the game starts, and I noticed like 3 people around me kind of looking backwards. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. Maybe there's a fight or something going on behind us. And so
that's another problem for another day.
Yeah.
Fights every week,
and
man.
so
it's so stupid.
I turn around to kind of see what people are looking at.
Usually from someone from Chicago.
I turn around to see what people are looking at, and I didn't like. It was kind of weird. I turn around, and literally the moment my eyes focused, I was staring at Taylor Swift in Travis Kelce's suite. She was right behind us, and I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. Like all those rumors are actually true. Like she's at Arrowhead. That's neat, right? And so I tell the boys, and the boys don't really care all that much.
And right there, like that's my reaction, right? Like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, all right.
Yeah.
Dude, people lose their minds. I don't understand.
So
I don't get the obsession with celebrities. People literally will spend tens of thousands traveling to concerts, and I love music. You know I love music. I listen to music like 8 hours a day instead of watching TV.
Right.
I don't get it. Well, I don't get the obsession. Like they would cut off their left arm if they could spend a week with her, or any celebrity for that matter.
If they could spend 10 minutes with her, they'd do it.
I don't get it.
And
They're
so
just people.
I go up.
Relax, crazy people.
I go up to the bathroom and I walk by her suite and there's a whole bunch of people trying to take photos and all this stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. It's Taylor Swift and her. She had like 7 or 8 people with her.
Yeah.
And then she was sitting next to Travis Kelce's mom, which was kind of cool. And, like all that's going on. And I'm like, man, these like 8 people are kind of like invading her privacy. All these people that are trying to take photos and stuff.
Yeah.
So I go to the bathroom and I come back, and like every time I walked by, I kind of glanced over just because, just to see kind of what's going on. Right. Well, then as the game goes on, after every play where Travis Kelce caught a ball, instead of cheering, everybody turns around to check Taylor's response. And I'm like, this is kind of weird. Like we're gauging our level of fun based on Taylor's level of fun.
That's what I mean.
Like this is just an odd thing, right?
It's weird, man. Yeah. It's just so weird.
And then, so by halftime, going into halftime, my boys know that they can go up and get drinks and a snack and all this stuff. Like they have to wait till halftime, but and usually I go with them, but this time I was like, I'm just enjoying being down here.
Mason's old enough.
Yeah, so I give him my credit card and go,
and
right?
He looks like an adult. He's 75 foot tall.
Yeah. And so I give him my credit card and go, and they come back.
You give him the credit card?
Yeah.
Dude, there'd be 8 jerseys, 3 footballs.
Yeah.
Nachos this big.
Yeah. The biggest nachos they got.
I bought a round for the whole stadium.
Damn right.
And so they come back and they're like, there's some cops up there now. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy, right? Well, then I go to the bathroom in like the third quarter. There's fucking 40 Jackson County sheriffs around that suite.
Really?
And they're starting to set up like metal barricades, and I'm like, this is wild. And what it was by that time,
the Swifties are all coming out and just
everybody in the
shit.
stadium had sourced where she was in the stadium, and they were all coming in to try to get a glimpse from all over the stadium, and so that whole area was like mobbed over.
Yeah.
Well, game gets over, and again, we don't usually sit down low. So game gets over, and Grant wanted to hang out by the rail until the last player left the field because Grant was trying to get an autograph, right? And so I told Grant, take off your jersey and let him sign your shirt underneath it because you probably got a better chance. And he still didn't. Got, again, a couple more fist bumps or whatever, but nothing great. Like, I think he got a fist bump from Snead and some stuff like that.
Snead's a great player.
Most of the big name players kind of hit like they do their news interviews and then they hit the locker room, right?
Yeah.
And so, but we stayed, 30 minutes after the game got over. And so now there's almost nobody there. And so we go to leave, and we were walking up the aisle, and there's almost nobody in the stands anymore. And we get up towards the top, and here's all these cops. And now there is like an aisleway barricade, and we have to walk right by the suite to leave. Yeah. There's like an aisleway barricade, and there are thousands of fans on the concourse lining this aisle of metal barricades, and we're walking through the middle of the barricade. Like we're
trying to get out of there.
We're leaving, and it's the same path that you would leave the suite in, and so we're in the barricades. And so I, crack a couple of dad jokes to the boys. I'm like, all this just because you guys are here. This is pretty crazy.
I'd be like, anybody want an autograph? You know who I am? Like, just signing shit.
Don't you know me?
Just signing shit.
Smedley Plumbing, right?
Little go-kart.
Yeah.
Just signing shit.
And again, I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Like, this poor girl, and I don't say poor girl like it's bad, but like, she literally can't go anywhere. Like, you and I go to a Chiefs game and we can enjoy it. She goes to like that Jackson County Sheriff shit. They don't do that for free.
Oh, no.
They're sending her ass a bill, right?
First off,
now, granted, she's got the money.
Her tour made like $4 billion. I think she's
right. No, she's totally got the money. But like, can you imagine? Like, for us to go to a game, it's like, let's go buy tickets off StubHub and let's drive to the game and go. And for her to go to a game, it's like she can't fly public, because she'd get mobbed on a plane, right? So she has to fly private, which I'm sure she probably owns a jet. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
But for her to go to a game...
Well, she has private security.
She's got private security, private jet, and then she's paying the local police authority of whatever jurisdiction to run security for her while she's out.
Yeah.
And then she's getting mobbed by paparazzi the whole time and everything. And I'm just like, man,
Do you think...
I don't know if I envy that.
Well, do you think that, like, if something happened and next week you were that popular, you'd be able to handle it?
No.
I don't think I could either.
Like,
because first off, I like my alone time and my space.
Yeah.
I'd be stabbing people.
Well,
I just...
Think of it this...
you get used to it. Like, you have your circle, and just outside of your circle of security or whatever, like, you just eventually, like, kind of block it out. Like a major league batter, right? Yeah. And pitcher. They're the only two people in the entire stadium that are doing anything, and there's literally 60,000 people watching them plus TV. Right. And they can somehow block everything out.
Right.
And focus. I mean, I would think that would be the only way eventually, like, you could deal with it. Or copious amounts of Xanax. I don't know if I'm with you. I don't think I could do it, dude.
You go Major League Baseball, and that's literally part of the job, right? Part of the job is performing in front of 60,000 people in national TV.
Well, and part of the job for her is being, but that's part of her job now.
But that's the thing, is she's not on the clock. Mm-hmm. A Major League Baseball player, they can mentally prepare to go to work. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
They can mentally prepare for the job today.
That's very true.
But they don't have somebody mobbing them at Chick-fil-A when they're just trying to get...
Yeah, could you imagine what it's like to never have to buy your own food again? That would just be weird.
I mean, that would be like you...
That would be weird.
That would be like you go into Price Chopper and every single one of your customers are waiting there to mob you with questions about their plumbing service as you were trying to leave Price Chopper.
It's a weird thing to think. Like, and what's crazy is the light switch for me never really tripped until we were the ones walking down the barricades. Because those thousands of people, like, they don't know when Taylor's going to walk out of that suite.
Yeah.
And so they're eyeballing everybody walking by because the next person could be Taylor, right?
Yeah.
And so
there's probably another exit. I wonder if she even went that way. Like
no, she left that way. I'm sure there's no other way to get in and out of the suite. But it's like, holy cow, and I know all these people aren't here for me, but like, could you imagine if they were and they're reaching over the barricades and trying to touch and grab and holler and everything, like, man,
it's weird, dude.
Well, she doesn't have any, right? Have you heard the joke that Travis Kelce's great at pulling sixes? He pulled 2 of them this weekend.
That is good.
That's funny.
Shit.
So
no, you know what the best part, like I'm a Travis Kelce fan as far as football and stuff, but I don't watch any of his off fields. I don't care.
Right.
Whatever. His podcast I heard is pretty good.
Well,
his brother is a hell of a personality.
So his podcast is great. However, I've tried to listen to it, and all of the great stuff is in the highlights. So I don't know if I'd say listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
You can listen to the highlights and get all the awesome stuff.
Yeah. The thing I will say is he was rolling around with her in the car that night that we heard in a 60, I think it was a 68 Cutlass Supreme drop top.
Yep.
And for those of us that love classic cars, like that's not one I would choose, but mad respect. Like that's the car. That's the car to take someone out in.
Yep.
Like she's been in a Ferrari. You know what I mean? She owns 8 lamp.
Yeah.
Nothing. Hey, look, we're taking the 68.
Yeah.
We're taking the Cutlass.
Well, and, I mean, they're young, right? They're both under 30.
They're both 33.
They're both 33.
The only reason I know that is because Joe and I were yelling at each other watching the game, like, because we were literally like, are we watching a football game or are we listening to?
Yeah.
I mean, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I heard the news was like constantly streaming back to it.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. So
eventually, him and I got in an argument because we'd been drinking and wanted to put some money on it, and I said, but anyways, yeah, they're both 33.
Okay. So like, imagine trying to even go on a date.
Well, he had to buy that whole restaurant out just to take her.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't think he had to buy the restaurant out just to take her. I think that happens a whole lot more commonly than you think it does.
Yeah, it does.
And the only reason we know about it this time is because he took Taylor.
Yeah,
right.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Well, and it's Sunday night, so it's a little different. Like,
I mean, buying a restaurant out at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night is nothing.
Well, and there's nothing. How do you think? Let me ask you this: you're Travis Kelce. You're potentially the greatest tight end in the history of the biggest league.
Yeah.
In mankind.
Yeah.
Ever. Okay. You make $14 million a year, and you're the one not carrying your weight in the relationship money wise.
Right. Right.
like, how does that make you feel? Like, does it make you feel bad, or do you just not give a shit?
Well, I think once you crest a certain point, it's not about pulling your weight money wise.
It doesn't matter
anymore.
Right.
Like once your household income breaks 150 grand a year, I don't think it really matters pulling your weight money wise.
It's like terminal velocity at that point.
Yeah, like you've got enough, like your income is
I think it's more than that, but
well, and I'm just speculating. Like there's a certain point where your income is enough to where like money
doesn't matter. Yeah,
they say money can't buy happiness.
But you can buy shit that makes you happy.
Well, tell that to the guy that can't pay his mortgage because he's making, $7 an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, to a point, money buys a certain level of stability, and with stability comes happiness.
Yeah.
And then, again, to another point, you get $150,000, $200,000 a year in household income, and then at that point, it doesn't really matter who's pulling what weight.
No, it doesn't. But it's like they get together, and she wants to do add-ons to the house. So she's like, "Hey,
me and my
do you think you could get a raise?
Yeah,
like we have stuff we want to do.
I need you to get a new contract."
I think there was a video of talking about like whenever you're making that much money, your cost of living. Like I think I saw a video with Shaq where it's like his like sign-on bonus was, I think it was like $1 million, but after taxes it's more like 750. And talking about how like within like a week he'd already spent like all of it, because you're with people who are also like crazy rich, and so you're just like they have a thing of like, oh, I want someone to outspend me.
We've talked about that on the show too, about how like as you grow and get more money, instead of staying where you are and just putting that money away or investing it or whatever, everyone thinks I need a new car,
right?
I need a new house, I've got to level up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
instead of having the wherewithal to say, oh shit, maybe I should stay right here.
Yep.
And maybe I should just stack that cash for something later.
Right.
Which is, that's the classic why people hate Americans, because they just think they have to keep leveling up all the fucking time.
Right.
Which, I'm not going to get us off topic, but like I even deal with that myself.
Well,
like I think about it all the time. I'm like, man, why why don't I just sell my house, get a fishing boat, live on the lake,
right?
And I could literally just make a couple $1,000s a month, and I'd be fine.
Well, and I don't know, like that restaurant they went to, I don't know how much it holds. I don't even know what restaurant they went to.
I don't
right?
either. I have no idea.
But when we did...
I don't follow that stuff. I just, whatever I hear is...
When we put on the big tip dinner down in Dallas, where we tipped the wait staff $14,000, I was in such communication with that restaurant that we were one more quota increase away from having to buy out the whole restaurant.
Yeah.
And so, like...
What was it? Do you remember? Or did you even get to that?
Let's see. We had 140 people, and it was $100 a person. 180 a person. So 80.
So they charge you per person that you're going to have there. There's not a flat, hey, if you want to buy the restaurant out, it's $10,000.
Correct.
For the night.
This particular, it was Fogo de Chao. So a Brazilian steakhouse, you're like, it's not like you don't know what they're going to order.
Yeah.
Like they're going to get the full experience, and it's $80 for the full experience. And then it was $100 for the tip, so we were charging $180 for people to come in.
Gotcha.
Right.
Like, so yeah, like if you go down to 3rd Street Social in Lee Summit, that's not giant, and you're like, I'm sure they have a flat rate.
That's you
like,
could probably buy 3rd Street Social out for $10,000 or $15,000 for the night.
Yeah, that'd be my guess. Probably 15 or 20.
And so, but here's what's crazy is because everyone loves drama and everyone likes to second-handedly be inconvenienced by somebody else. Like I saw something, it was like a suggested post came across my feed talking about how, the entitlement with Taylor Swift has to end. Like hundreds of restaurants. Well, it basically said the entitlement must end. Hundreds of restaurant goers were forced to leave because Taylor Swift showed up at a restaurant.
No.
Exactly.
No.
It was all planned.
Yeah.
They were told you're going to have to leave by 8 p.m. on a Sunday night, which who's at a restaurant after 8 p.m. on a Sunday night?
Not very many.
Right. And they were all told ahead of time and everything else.
Or they just didn't take any reservations for that night after 6 or something.
Yeah.
Like, because if he had made that or bought it out like the day before and said, hey, at this time I'm coming, they're like, hey, no reservations after 7.
Right.
We've got it handled.
Yep. And that's what people are so
bitch about everything.
Well,
man.
they're so addicted to finding some level of drama, whether it's real or not, right?
Yeah, people are addicted to drama.
Yeah,
that's why there's so many. And I don't get this either. Like, there's so much drama on TV. Like, it's all the drama shows and all everything. It's like I can't. I don't even watch that shit.
Dude, the reason why
I hate it.
The reason
people are addicted. I think this is a weird theory I've had lately, but I think people. Like, so as you get older, like you have what they call adrenal fatigue, right? You don't get as much adrenaline from whatever, but you have a bunch of kids, so you can't go out and party and you can't do all this crazy stuff that you need to do to feel alive.
Right.
And so drama, like I feel like drama and drama shows like give you just enough to keep you going. And that's why it's so popular. Yeah. It's just a weird theory I have.
No, you're spot on. And in another layer to it is like mediocrity is sensationalized, and we're encouraging people to, well, let's just say like go back to the Roman days.
God, I would have loved to have been alive then.
Okay. Why'd they build the Colosseum?
To watch people die.
Right. But why? Like, what's the apparent reason that they built entertainment because of why?
People are bored.
They wanted to distract the taxpayers.
Oh God, we're gonna get deep. Are we getting deep?
It's not deep. I'm just saying that was literally why. Give them something to argue about. Give them something to fight about. Give them something to distract them.
To hold their attention.
Well, right. That's the Hunger Games.
Exactly. Yeah. It's same. So the Hunger Games is like a modern day movie of what was going on in the Coliseum, right? There's a whole lot of fucking parallels between that and the NFL, right? And you look at all of the layers of it. Your media, your ad agencies are buying ads on there to distract you even more. Your fantasy football stuff, your betting.
Yeah.
Like, you've got guys that are pissed off on Monday because of what sports teams did on Sunday. Yeah. Like, there are guys like literally eating shit and performing poorly at work on Monday because of what sports teams who don't even know who they are, what they did on Sunday. And it's like, man, there's a lot of people letting that control their life.
Oh, yeah. Not just control it, but like dictate it.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I have to be at work so I can make money so that I can gamble.
Right.
Like, that's literally what people are freaking doing.
Yeah.
It's insane. Joey and I have actually had this. We had this conversation all the time. Joey's my brother. For anyone listening that doesn't know, I've told him that we should bring back, like, the Coliseum via days. Like, instead of UFC, we have UFC and give them swords.
Yeah.
Do you know how many
people would tune in left and right?
You wouldn't tune in. It would all be pay-per-view, and you'd make $1 billion fucking dollars.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you could have, and he's always like, well, who would sign up for that? I was like,
everybody.
Prisoners. Dude, I'm talking about to fight.
If
like,
there's billions of dollars out there to watch people's feet and stare at naked chicks on OnlyFans and Feet
this
Finder,
took a left turn.
I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. If that's if that's $1 billion industry,
yeah, you're right.
Then watching gladiators fight to the death is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
I mean, who would sign up to risk their lives? Prisoners. Like in.
Oh, yeah, because they're fighting for their freedom.
Well, you don't give them freedom. Well, like, you don't give them freedom, but you're like, okay, if you keep winning, you live in this secure suite.
It's structured freedom.
You live in this secured suite that's got a pool and a shower, and it's a house, and we bring you hookers
and ladies. Yeah, I was gonna say, and ladies,
and food and booze and what, like, you live a regular life inside the prison.
Yep.
But you're fighting to the death like every 2 weeks or every month or whatever.
You take a guy that's got life,
dude. I'd do it.
He's gonna do it,
dude. If I was in prison and they were like, "Hey, look,
speed up the inevitable or make my last time great," like, they're gonna do it every time.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
If they charged $1,000 a viewing, and you had 5 or 6 people, 10 people come to your house, I'd pay it.
Yeah.
I'd fucking pay it, and I'd be like, yeah, dude, they got 3 fights tonight. One of them's brass knuckles. It's not to the death.
Dude, there's people that pay gobs of money to watch Cletus McFarland do a race of nothing but old Crown Vics around a racetrack. I mean,
I know.
It's nuts what they'll pay for.
I'm saying, like, if you could somehow figure out a way to legalize it.
Yeah.
Everyone's heard it here first. If someone robs my idea, I want a fucking cut.
Yeah.
That's my idea.
There you go.
Damn it.
Dana White, go after him.
Fuck it. If Dana White starts it, I'm going to be really pissed if he doesn't at least give me like a cut. Like, at least pay for my house.
Give me $7, Dana.
No, at least pay for my house so I can, retire early. Come on.
Well, just like the Hunger Games, like, it's entertaining, but then it used to feel so far out, like, oh, that's way fiction. But then you realize the Hunger Games is just a few wrong turns away. Like, I'm not being...
No, we're not. Yeah, we're not that far away.
It's the lottery. It's just a few wrong turns away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we going to... Do you want to talk about any topics, or are we just going to ramble the whole show?
I got a funny joke for you. So we've...
Oh, okay.
Today we did our largest job to date with this government-funded program with these sump pumps.
Okay.
And so I thought it would be timely to do a joke about how to get government jobs.
Well, let's see what you got. It better be fucking good. There's been a build up here.
Yeah, so, like, I'm just gonna say, like, in the last 7 weeks, we've done $80,000 in work for this government program. Just in this government program, we've done $80,000 in work. Okay.
Do you know what your costs are?
Oh, I know all that.
Okay.
But I'm just saying,
I'm gonna quiz you down later.
If you want government contracts, here's what you do. Okay. So, the President of the United States reached out to me and 2 other plumbers asking for bids to update some plumbing in the White House. Okay? Myself and 2 other plumbers submitted bids. Smith Plumbing bid the job at $3 million. Jones Plumbing bid the job at $7 million. And we at Smedley Plumbing bid the job at $10 million. Okay? The president then comes to Smith Plumbing and they say, hey, I need a breakdown on your pricing. And Smith Plumbing says, well, it's $1 million for material, $1 million for labor, and $1 million for profit. The president then goes to Jones Plumbing and says, hey, I need a breakdown on your pricing. And they say, well, it's $3 million for material, $2 million for labor, and $2 million for profit. And so then the president comes to me and asks me for a breakdown on the pricing. And I mean, keep in mind, our bid's $10 million, right? And so I said, it's $4 million for you, $3 million for me, and $3 million for me to pay Smith Plumbing to come in and do the job. We start the job next week.
That's really good, dude.
So, if you want to know how to get government contracts, that's the formula.
Oh, man, especially if you're a Democrat.
I mean, I'm just saying.
4 million for you,
So-
3 million for me, 3 million to
In all reality, no, everything we're doing with this government contract is all above board. But
of this one is
this one,
but
maybe.
the rest of them
I mean,
are
if
fucking
President of the
bullshit.
United States reaches out, I'm greasing palms for sure.
Doesn't they make a show called
You might-
White House Plumbers?
To be
I don't
You
know.
guys watch that?
first off, if the White House reaches out, you want to be greasing up everything.
I hear NASA's looking for plumbers.
Why?
I don't know.
Toilets?
So NASA actually put a post on Facebook saying they're looking for plumbers. I commented on it and I said, dude, my plumbing skills are out of this world. I am your man.
If you need to catch poop out of the air, I can do it.
Doesn't poop get ejected from the spaceship?
I don't know.
No, so what they do is it goes into a toilet, that toilet vacuums it in, and then it vacuum seals it in a bag.
Well, so
Now,
keep
in
in mind, we're letting
eject-
Hollywood tell us this, right?
I think I read that.
So
I think and then
Does that count what you lose when you're getting shot up? Like, oh!
what's the Tom Hanks movie where he gets stuck
Castaway?
stuck in space?
Apollo 13.
Apollo 13.
17,
So in
13,
Apollo
12,
13,
something.
they ejected out of the spacecraft, right?
Oh, do they?
Yeah. And like he literally hits the flush button and then it shows it spraying out the side of the thing.
I
right?
do not remember that.
And
But
so,
that's hilarious.
But then in The Martian, it's all vacuum sealed in little foil packs.
It is?
Yeah, because then he cuts it open to use it as fertilizer.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
For his potatoes. So
That's
like
right.
we don't really know what happens in space. I'm just saying I'm down to find out.
I'm sure that if we had a good producer, he could use Google and find out exactly what happens.
I don't even know if Google's gonna know that one.
God, he didn't even get his phone out.
He ain't even trying.
Didn't even get his fucking phone out.
Maybe I feel like not knowing and watching the dispute is more entertaining than actually knowing the answer.
Have you ever wanted
Maybe.
to stab someone in the eye with a pen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Put this mic in front of my eye.
All right. So we have two actual. So we're actually going to talk about business here. We've been going for 30 minutes.
Are we?
So we got
talk
two
about?
business topics. Topic one is teachable moments, and topic two is becoming undeniable. Hey, if you like what you're hearing on The Void and you want even more info, we just started a mentorship program specifically for trades professionals to start their business or to get their business to an incredibly healthy position. So if you'd like more info, click on the link in the description of this show. Topic one is actually inspired by Austin, our
Heck
producer,
yeah.
who refuses to get his phone out and look up how we flush shit in space. And so in life, there are many, many teachable moments. This not only goes for managerial experience. This doesn't. I mean, this applies to business ownership. This applies to marriage. This applies to raising your kids. The best teachers are the ones who use the impromptu moments that seem to arrive out of nowhere as teachable moments, and they will slow progress down or stop progress to use that moment as a moment to teach a young person something.
I have the answer.
Dave is cracking open a Kit Kat here.
I haven't had anything to eat, man. I gotta have something.
Yeah.
I'm starving to death.
Poop is vacuumed into garbage bags that are put into airtight containers.
So the Martian had it. Apollo
you.
13, you were wrong.
You're wrong about space facts. Yeah. I have space
now,
facts.
Apollo 13 was a movie from the 60s, so maybe they were right in the 60s. Maybe
Is that
it's
the one where they
changed.
take the monkey with them?
No,
Which one is that?
Apollo 13 is where it suffers the failure in space and they have a hard time getting back.
Did you see the one at Apollo 11 where they land and the planet is all those like spiders? It's like a horror movie. Keeps taking them out.
Oh boy.
Apollo 11
we're
or
off the
Apollo
rails.
18?
Yeah.
We're off.
We're off.
I'm on the same train. I'm just like 7 cars behind.
Yes, that's right.
I don't
You
even
are.
know if you're on the same train. I think you're on the one that takes mushrooms to board.
I think he's on the caboose.
No, I'm the one that goes through Green Valley where like the things come down and just never come back up. So you
Yeah,
guys
it just
pass through
stops.
it.
Yeah, Green Valley's a shit show. Sorry. Go ahead.
So with teachable moments, there are, and this is really timely for us because we just hired 2 plumbing installers yesterday. And these guys are pretty green And all they're going to be doing is doing some of these sump pump installs and then helping our other plumbers out on larger installs, right?
Yeah.
And eventually, after a long enough timeline, they may be able to get to run some of their own jobs and stuff like that. But teachable moments are everywhere. And the speed at which a new employee learns all has to do with the management, right? So many managers out there expect these guys to learn on their own. And then after 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, a month, whatever, they're like, oh, this guy's just not learning anything. Well, how many times are you stopping and teaching the guy something? How many times are you recognizing, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't happen every day. So let me pause here for a minute and explain what's happening, right? So, prime example, we have a very, very efficient system for installing these sump pumps. So far, our record is 2 hours and 34 minutes, and we're done, right? We arrive on site, knock the sump pump out, and we're done in 2 hours and 34 minutes. And for those that know what you're talking about with plumbing, these are floor break sump pump installs. We have to jackhammer the floor. We have to dig the pit. We have to surround it with gravel, patch the concrete back, run the discharge pipe, install the pump, and install a new electrical outlet. And our record's 2 hours, 34 minutes.
Do you want me to go with you and set a new record?
Yeah.
I can run wire, bro.
Most beers drank in a sump pump install.
I bet we could beat that time, and I could drink 3 beers.
And drink beer. So
easy.
Our truck is set up really well. Our inventory process is set up really well. Like we're really efficient, right? And then I bring these new guys on, and these new guys, they don't understand how much work has gone into the setup, right? So these new guys, they may not know much about plumbing, and they're like, oh, man, plumbers charge a lot if they're only installing these in 2 hours and 34 minutes, right? They don't understand that we have a dedicated shop just for these jobs. We have 2 dedicated trucks just for these jobs. These trucks are stocked specifically for these jobs.
Well, and they don't understand that you were doing the project before 5 years ago and knew what it took to even get the jobs.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And there's the 10 years of experience it took to even get to that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. There's a whole lot going into it.
It's like the customer experience. Like they don't understand either.
Right. And so where the teachable moments come in is so many guys forget how much experience they have, and they assume the new employee is going to just get up to speed quickly. And it's like, dude,
they take for granted that they know all that stuff. You know what I mean? They take it for granted that, hey, this is how it is. It's really easy. We get it done.
Yeah.
They don't even think about, man, how long did it take me to get here?
Right.
And that's just natural human reaction, right?
Yeah.
Like if you overthought everything like that, you'd never make it. Like you just lose your shit.
Right. And you don't need to overthink it except when you're trying to teach somebody else to replicate your results.
Yeah.
Right? Like I want to see my crew beat the record of 2 hours and 34 minutes without me on site. Right? And
spiff, buddy.
And they're
just for fun.
They're paid per job.
No, I'm saying just for fun if they beat it without you on the job.
You can't really encourage that kind of behavior because then they're going to shut.
I'm just saying if they do it.
We'll see.
God, you're a chicken shit.
But like I'm not like I won't get jealous if they beat it. I'm going to be like, hell yeah, right? I trained them well.
Yeah.
And so but so many guys out there take for granted all of the stuff that they know and all of the preparation, and they're skipping over all of these teachable moments, right? Like my new guys, they don't know how important it is to monitor their truck stock perfectly. Because the reason we were able to do one in such a short time frame was perfect truck stock. And so like today we did 2 of those jobs in one day. And so today and plus some extra work on top of that. And so, I was taking plenty of opportunities to be like, guys, not only are we testing our truck stock every day we do these, but today we're doing 2 of them. So like if our truck stock is missing anything, we're going to find out about it today, and it's going to make the difference between us getting done today or having to come back tomorrow.
Or work until 6.
Or working until insanely late, right? And so, finding those moments. And there's like, I pulled the jackhammer out of one of our newer guys' hands today because, believe it or not, there's right and wrong ways to use a jackhammer. Not only safe and unsafe ways, But there are ways to use a jackhammer that make it go faster, and there are ways to use a jackhammer that cut down on the dust. And so if you don't know, you don't know, right? And so, you know, I own the freaking company, but I'm still walking over there and grabbing a jackhammer out of the guy's hand and showing him like, hey, you're doing great. However, if you do it this way, it'll go a little bit faster and it produces less dust.
Yeah, it may not beat you to death.
And it may not beat you to death, right? And these jobs are tiring, so your energy is actually important,
Are you
right?
using those Hitachi electric ones? Those
Believe it or not,
120s?
they're Harbor Freights.
Are they electric though?
They're electric.
ones?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
well, over there where you're doing it, that concrete's usually pretty thin.
Yeah, 4 inches. Well, I'll say this: it's anywhere from 4 to 14 inches thick.
I do. So
I'm just saying.
With a ton of water in the water.
My brother-in-law. So he calls me. Hey, I'm getting water in the basement. Blah blah. We got to get it out of here. I said, well, we're not going to stop the water. It's like a rock foundation, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, let's just put a pit in. Water's going to roll. It'll get to the pit, and then it'll get out of there. So it won't be ruining everything.
Right.
Okay. I go over there. Dude, I'm not shitting you. That concrete was an inch thick.
Yeah, those old stone foundation homes.
An inch. It was literally like no gravel, no rebar, no nothing. I mean, I busted. So I hit it with a sledgehammer like 3 times, and then I just got my E-swing out.
Yep.
And I just busted it with that. I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah,
like,
you feel like you could stomp on it hard enough and break it.
Who is pouring these floors?
Well, that's 100 years ago.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But still.
But yeah, so, I mean, teachable moments are everywhere, right? And so, like, I actually kind of end up the other way, where I find so many teachable moments, I'm having to like choose what I share with the guy today and what I don't. And I try to keep it topical, and I try to organize it to where, like, today every teachable moment's about preparation. Tomorrow every teachable moment's about quality. And then, like, I try to group them together.
Yeah.
Because if you just scatter them all over the place, the guy's going to be totally confused.
Yeah.
You know, he spent 20 minutes talking about prep, and then he went on another 20-minute tangent talking about quality, and like, I don't even know what he said. I like lost interest, right? So you kind of
my world.
Yeah. you kind of have to organize some of those teachable moments, but those are the differences between getting a guy in and getting him up to speed quickly, or getting a guy in and saying, well, he just doesn't learn fast enough. These new kids don't want to try hard.
Well, and it's, you know, like the best teachers are always teaching, right?
Right.
Like you're always teaching. But in construction, service, all of that, you do have to pick your moments. I like to pick them if I see someone struggling with something, like it literally is making them mad and they can't figure out exactly why.
Yep.
I try to use those moments. The times when they're doing okay, but they're struggling but they're not doing exactly how I would do it, I just let them figure it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'll stand there and, you know, if they get to a point where it's like they're just not doing it, be like, hey, dude, just do this.
Right.
That'll probably help you out. You know,
Right.
that'll work. But the actual stop everything, pull them down and say, hey, this is how we do it,
Yep.
is when they're, I try to save it for when they're really struggling. Like it's obvious that they're struggling and they're not getting anywhere.
Another calculated way to teach. Teachable moments don't necessarily mean you're stopping productivity to teach a lesson. Teachable moments might be that you recognize this guy's painting himself into a corner and you let it happen on purpose because
it forces them to figure out, hey, how am I going to get out of this?
most of, like, if you look back on your biggest life lessons, they're life lessons that you learned firsthand because you fucked something up, right?
Yeah, well,
you screwed something up so bad and you had to figure your way out.
And that's not really training either. Like you're teaching them how to problem solve live.
Yes, exactly.
That's, you know what I mean?
And so you have to be careful with those because you don't, like, let's just say working in an electric panel is not one of those ones where you want to let the guy fuck up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I mean, yes, there's obviously, that wouldn't necessarily be, that'd be more training beforehand.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to take this panel cover off. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to tell you exactly what not to do and not to touch.
Right.
That'd be training.
Right.
That's almost like scheduled training.
Yeah.
Guys, pay the fuck attention.
yeah.
And if you have any doubts, wear your rubber gloves.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Right.
Like, you know.
Yep.
I mean, we're not going to get into whole
like
what you should exactly be doing in a panel, but
I don't know if I've told this story before on the podcast or not.
I mean, probably.
My first experience cutting cast iron pipe on a commercial job,
But I love it. Let's hear it again.
So
Because it makes me laugh. how dumb you were.
I had been a plumber for like 6 years before I went to commercial, and I had never used snap cutters before, and I didn't even know what they were. And so they hand them to me, and I thought they were like tubing cutters. And so...
Well, that's what they look like.
They look like they have a lot of cutting wheels. They're not very sharp, but I'm like, whatever. And so, I run the chain around the 6-inch cast iron, and it's on a tri-stand, and I'm now rotating the snap cutters around the cast iron. And like 45 minutes later, my arms are jello, but I made the cut. And I just keep thinking like, damn, I am going to be a hoss after a few years of doing, like, this is freaking hard, right? And so then I bring the piece over, and it's like the most smooth cut edge ever because it basically like chewed through it.
Yeah.
And so then the guy's like, hey, that's cool. Let me show you a little trick that'll make it go a little faster. And so then he brings out the ratchet, and we go to cut the next piece, and he like 3 ratchets and pop, and it snaps, and we're done. And I was immediately humbled in that moment,
I probably
right?
would have punched the guy in the face. Like, dude, you saw me over here.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What the fuck, bro?
They totally saw me. Now, granted, this is on a giant job. It's one cut that took too long, right? However,
you didn't kill the job.
I didn't kill the job. However, that opportunity taught me there was no better way for me to learn how to cut cast iron than to learn exactly what it takes to do it wrong, and then to learn how beneficial it is when you do it right.
I wouldn't say that.
I would say. I mean, he could have just said, "Yeah, you put the ratchet in it and snap, 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 pop, and you're done."
And you're done. But what it did do is teach you, like how to train someone later.
Well,
like that's probably the hidden lesson in there.
And also, it taught me to because the whole time I'm doing this, I mean, it took me 45 minutes.
Them guys were over there drinking beer, like, man, this motherfucker.
Well, they're over there laughing, and I'm not trying to look at them, right? Because I'm the new guy on the job. And so, but the whole time I'm like, there's got to be a better way. But I don't want to, I'm too embarrassed to walk over there and say, am I doing this right? You know what I mean?
Well, that's the other lesson, too, is it teaches you to be humble, because you're like, maybe next time I should just set my price high and just ask questions.
Exactly.
I go to...
Exactly.
To be honest, after 10 minutes, I went and found a hot saw and been like, hey, can I borrow your fucking hot saw?
Right.
And I'd have had that bitch whipped in half.
Right.
Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
And so, when I have my new guys now, and with anybody, one of the big things in any construction industry is safety, right? And so I make sure to tell them at least 5 times on the first day. I tell them until they tell me, I know. And what it is I tell them, if you feel unsafe, you are, so bring it to my attention.
I feel unsafe every 5 minutes.
Well.
And I've been doing shit for 20 years.
That's just because you're around me and my sexual advances are too hard to pass up. But
I didn't mean here, but that's funny as shit.
But what I'm saying is if you feel like you should have ear protection, you probably should. So come get me and find ear protection, right? Yeah. If you feel like you should have eye protection, you probably should. So come, there is no stupid, I tell my guys.
You probably stock it in the truck, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell my guys over and over, there is no stupid question other than the question you've already asked and that you told me you understood. I don't even mind if you ask the same question twice.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't understand the answer the first time and you need more clarification, bring it on. Don't lie to me and tell me you understood it, walking away going, I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah. Right? That's the dumb question, is when you come back again after you've told me, got it.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to hit what you said earlier, too, when you were talking about, guys are, owners are, I just can't, this guy won't learn, this guy won't, I can't train him. I can't do this. Where we first started, the whole mantra there was send them out on their own and see what the fuck happens.
Yeah.
There was no training. There was no learning. So basically what would happen is it was a revolving door 24/7.
Yep.
And the only people they kept were people that could literally learn extremely fast.
Yep.
And then figure out a way to get by.
Well, and we got lucky.
I will say, I'm trying to think of how to say it.
It's make their own systems.
No, not that. The systems and everything were in place, but you had to basically learn to do the work with minimal training or minimal help. You just had to figure it out. Now, if you were a very, very fast learner, like you and like me, that could just suck up information and then figure out how to do it, it was a great benefit.
Yeah.
Because literally you could learn how to plumb a house completely from start to finish in 1 year, but that was because of us. That was because of the employee, not the training that was quote unquote in place or not in place.
Right.
Because there was no training in place, right?
Right.
But
there wasn't a training structure. It was, oh, we're doing finish today. I guess you're going to learn finish.
Yeah.
You know, oh, we're doing gas pipe today. I guess you're going to learn gas pipe.
Good luck. But what the problem with that is there were a lot of plumbers that came and went, or guys that came and went that could have been really good if they just would have been given some serious training.
Yep.
Or, you know, someone in management that was like, hey, look, you're struggling with this. This is how we do it. And with just a little bit of care, literally, instead of having 10 plumbers, they could have had 30 plumbers and been fucking rolling.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the processes for doing the job were in place, but the training fucking sucked ass.
Yeah. And where that kind of comes down to is recognizing how your guy learns.
No one's the same.
Yeah, you and I were the type of like, give us some basic parameters and set us out on our own. We're going to get 90% of it done. We're going to fuck 10% of it up. And all you're going to have to do is come back and help us with the 10%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And after 6 months, we'll have it.
Right. And like
You know what I mean?
the worst we were going to do was like ruin some PVC fittings, maybe a couple of TAPCON bits and all of that. Like, I'll never forget the first finish you went and set. You didn't know.
This isn't good.
No, yeah.
This isn't good. I don't know where this is
remember
going.
this is pure as gold. So you went and set a finish, first time out of the gate. You'd never set a water heater before in your life. You didn't know that they had water heater flue pipe. And you also didn't know that you could chuck a 1/4-inch bit in your drill. And so,
yeah, I do remember that.
So
I was down there with a 1/4-inch hand driver.
You went with a 1/4-inch nut driver and elbows.
Yeah.
And you ran like 7 feet of flue with nothing but elbows. And you were so proud of yourself because you put 3 screws in every connection and it was all by hand.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was like, I mean, I shit you not. It was like 9 or 10 flue elbows.
It was a lot of elbows.
You made pipe out of elbows.
Now listen, it wasn't 9 or 10. I think it was like 4.
No, it was a lot more than that.
I think it was like 4.
No, it was a lot more than that.
I remember it was a clear orange handle.
Yep.
Hand 1/4-inch nut driver.
Yep.
And I drove like 16 screws by hand.
And the only reason I remember it is because
my hands hurt for like 3 days.
I didn't know any better, but I came to the job later with either Bobby or Harvey. I can't remember who. I came to the job later.
I remember this
and
because I went back.
They were laughing and kind of shaking their head like, "Oh my God, this like he did this like literally the hardest way possible." And I'm like I'm like using it as a teachable moment for me. I'm like, "Well, what did he do wrong?" Like I don't even know what's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just as new and I don't recognize what's wrong. So I'm like, "What did he do wrong?" Like I don't want to do that again.
But that's what they would do. They would just
send you out there.
And they'd say, "Okay, do this." Like I remember Bobby calls me and he goes, "Hey, dude, you take this chuck, this 1/4-inch." And I was like, well, I don't have one of those. He's like, there's not one in the drill box? I was like, no.
You got to get one.
He's like, you got to get one. I was like, well, fucking where do I get one?
Right. And
like,
so
they
that's...
wouldn't tell you fucking anything.
But that's like it's kind of a testament to your dedication, right? Like, you didn't give up. You didn't walk off the job.
I will work that motherfucker to death.
Right.
I will beat that donkey till you can't tell it was a donkey. Like that. What was that? It's a pile of fur, bitch. That's what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
Like I will literally. I mean, I will. And not everyone has that. Like you have that, right? Like I will literally. But
whether you have it or whether you don't is not it's not really the point, right? Like some people have it.
No.
Some people have it and some people don't. And if they have it, great. But if they don't, it's the manager or the business owner's job to recognize that and find another pathway to teach them.
Yeah.
So like my newer guy today, he's great. He will not do anything unless you ask him to. And that does not mean anything bad, right?
No, that means
it means he doesn't want to fuck anything up.
Yeah.
And he will literally do everything I ask him to do it, but I have to ask him first.
Well, he's just shy probably too. Like a little bit.
It's his second day and he's never done plumbing in his life. Like he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. And I guarantee if you went to him tomorrow and was like, hey dude, when we're doing stuff and you're not sure what to do, just jump in and do something.
I didn't even have to do that.
Like, no, I'm just saying if you were to tell him that.
Oh yeah, he would.
He would just start doing it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Today,
but that's your job. It's not his job. It's your job, or who's ever training him, or whatever. It's their job.
By the end of the day today, he's caught on to the fact that we're kind of winding down and we're starting to pick up. We're tidying up like wet concrete. And so, like, I've got one more pass on this concrete before I'm done with it. And so I put the finish trowel in the bucket of water, and I'm kind of waiting for, like, I got to wait another 10 or 15 minutes for it to dry up a little bit more before I can put another pass on it. And because I'm the business owner, I do have to check my phone occasionally and catch up on some messages and shit. So I put the finish trowel in the bucket, and I pull my phone out, and I'm catching up on emails and everything else. Next thing I know, I look around, he's already picked up the bucket, and he's like packed all the concrete tools up.
Yeah. And I'm getting the fuck out of here, bro.
I'm like, this is badass. Like, I'm definitely not going to chastise him for picking up and cleaning.
No.
But I'm like, hey, I do have one more pass on that, so I do need all that back.
Well, and you can always just say, like, hey, I didn't think I was going to need to, but I think I need to make one more pass on it.
Well, and I just let him know, like, the concrete bucket's like the last thing that we're picking up.
Yeah.
But again, so many people are so narrow-minded with their teaching of the new guys.
Yeah.
That if the new guy doesn't learn exactly how they learned, they chalk it up to the biggest failure in the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, people learn on different levels. People learn visually. They have to see it. People learn vocally. They have to hear it.
Especially.
Right? And then people learn, like, texturally. They have to do it. Right?
Yeah.
And so really, until you recognize how your new person learns, you can't hold a candle to anything. Like, you got to figure out, do they learn by telling? Do they learn by doing?
Yeah.
Or do they learn by, like, seeing me do it? Like, if I show you how to do it once, are you good from there?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, with this newer guy that I have, we're 2 days in, and I still don't know how he learns yet. I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
I've tried a couple of different things, and we'll see.
Yeah. And it's like, a lot of people, like me, for example, I can visualize. Like, I know, like, if I walk into a house, and this is just an example, and I know exactly what the duct layout is going to be in the basement and how it's going to look, right?
Right.
If I go down to remodel my office, or we're going to rearrange furniture in the living room, I just know, like, I can picture, okay, that's how it's going to look once we do it. Lots of people can't do that.
No.
Until they've done it a bunch, they can't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those people are harder to teach. It's harder for them to learn a specific craft.
Yeah.
Which means that you've got to be more patient, and you've got to figure out a way to get them there. Right? Whether it be, hey, a checklist. Whether it be, hey, this is how I want these specific things to look when it's done.
Right.
And then how do we get there?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, if you go in a house and you look around real quick and you're like, oh, some pump's going to go there, pipe's going to go there, and you can visualize it, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
Not everyone's like that.
You
right?
got to recognize, like, as a person that's able to do that, you got to recognize you've got, like, for my case, 20 plus years of experience.
Yeah.
To be able to walk in, and within 10 minutes, I know where it's going to go. I know how it's going to be routed. And I know that I can go out to my truck and write a dead ass accurate material list for how I would put it in. Right.
Yeah.
And those are the teachable moments that you need to be focusing on with your guys.
Yeah.
As you're bringing new guys on, you need to be recognizing all of that stuff.
It's tough.
So
what else you want to talk about, Mitch?
Second topic, becoming undeniable.
I don't even know what the fuck that means.
What this means is, so what we end up with is we have a lot of guys who start their own business and they don't focus wholeheartedly on the customer experience. And so what happens is they end up under-delivering on the customer experience, and then they get all butthurt when the customer leaves them a bad review. Or they get all butthurt when a customer is extra difficult, right?
Yeah, or they have a lot of callbacks and they don't know why.
Or, right, like any of those things.
Yeah.
That becomes a problem,
you
right?
Okay?
Yep, I burped.
I thought you were going to throw up.
So, becoming undeniable, what that centers around is the idea that you are undeniably providing the absolute best service available, right? And when you focus on providing the absolute best service available, you need to do it, and then you need to get the feedback from customers that show that you're actually doing it. And then now you're in a position to start chalking some customers up to unpleasable. The problem is you end up with some guys, and the easiest barometer for this is going to be like, let's say you got guys that start their own business and they have like a 4.6 rating on Google. And maybe they have less than 100 reviews and they have a 4.6 rating.
Yeah.
Those guys like to try to take the easy route and say, well, you can't make everybody happy. Right?
Yeah, that's the cop-out.
It's the cop-out, right?
Yeah.
Whereas it's at 100 reviews, if you have a 4.6 rating on Google, it's obvious you aren't focused on becoming undeniably the best service provider in your area. And so if you focus solely on the customer experience and delivering the absolute best customer experience imaginable, and then you get the feedback, like in your Google reviews or whatever review metric you're using, you get the feedback that shows that. Well, then when you do encounter an upset customer or a difficult customer or somebody that's hard to please, now not only do you focus on delivering the best service and you have the feedback that shows you deliver the best service, well, now you actually have a leg to stand on to say this particular customer is unpleasable. All right, so you've newly started your company and you're trying to pinch pennies. However, you don't realize the biggest thing that's hurting you right now is not gathering all of your information into one spot and making it super efficient for you to use. So the answer is Field Pulse. It gets you off of paper tickets. It gets you off of all of that crazy office work at the end of the day and reconciling all that stuff. And it lets you organize everything with ease. It puts it all into the computer. It actually puts it all into the cloud. So it's not even putting it on your computer. And it lets you organize your customers. It lets you organize all of your service calls. Heck, it'll even route you to your service call. And the best part is, even after all of that, you'll probably realize about a 100% growth in your business just in the first year of using Field Pulse. So if you'd like to check out Field Pulse and see what great looks like, click on the link in the description of this show. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
And so it's this phenomenon in our industry where we like to deliver shitty service or not solve their problem on the first visit like we promised them we would, or oversell them something that doesn't actually fix why they called us.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be.
The HVAC industry,
it runs rampant in the HVAC industry,
awful.
Right? Like
it's awful.
What's the number one fix for any problem out there?
Refrigerant.
New system.
Well, refrigerant.
Well,
if it's not refrigerant, it's new system.
Dude, I can remember
it's refrigerant or new system.
As the plumbing manager at a larger company, I shared an office with the HVAC manager, and I can remember him looking at customer files and being like, he would like hold it up and look at me or swing his computer screen over.
Like, look at this, bro.
And he'd be like, look at this. So we've serviced this customer twice a year for the last 4 years. Watch. And they have a heat pump, right?
Yeah.
And he'll be like, look, 4 years ago, we went out and we added a pound of refrigerant. 3.5 years ago, we went out and we took out a half a pound of refrigerant.
Yeah.
3 years ago, we went out and we added a pound of refrigerant.
Yep.
2.5 years ago, we took out a half a pound. Like every time we go out, we're taking out or putting in a half a pound or a pound, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, these guys actually think they're solving problems out here. And really what it is they're not exacting in their process. And one's checking it one way, one's checking it the other way. And if you check it this way, it's going to show a half a pound or a pound off from when you check it this way.
Well, and it's just, it's like the half pound it's easy to get off on a customer. Like, hey, it's just going to be a half pound. Oh, I pulled a half pound. It should be fine. Like, it's easy to sell them on that.
Right.
The real problem, oh man, we're going to get off tangent. The real problem with the HVAC industry is people that go out and are working on shit don't know shit. Like, it literally takes for you to, and I'm not bashing plumbers here, but for you to actually know what the fuck you're doing and have some serious experience, it takes 5 years of in the field training and running calls. Okay, it's not I'm a plumber and after a year and a half I can do 80% of the work. Right? Like, there's no 80%. When you're servicing really old heat pumps and really old air conditioners, you got to know what the fuck you're looking at. People don't know, like, first thing, filter's dirty. Filter's not dirty. That changes your airflow, which changes your refrigeration charge.
Right.
After that, you have to check the actual A coil. It's the same thing as a filter. If that motherfucker's plugged up, you're screwed.
Right.
Okay? And then people don't know, well, the blower's on. Well, does the capacitor for the blower actually is it actually running like it's supposed to so that thing's actually running at the right RPMs? Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, how do you check that?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I blame, like, it's really the fault of these big companies that will just hire guys off the street and then be like, oh, we're sending them out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, and especially around here, like you can, we had a trade winds call the other day with David that lives in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Or is it Chicago?
Well, Chicago area.
Chicago area. And he was saying, look, as a master plumber, you can only have, 2 apprentices? Mm-hmm. And they have to be under you for so long. Down, like, in the HVAC industry, I see how that works. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because people are literally getting screwed because these kids don't fucking know nothing.
Right.
Down here, you can hire any Joe Blow off the street, and when someone calls and says, my AC ain't working, you send him out there with a set of gauges and a jug of refrigerant and like, let's see what you got, buddy.
Right.
That shit don't work.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Well, and now with everybody on incentive-based pay and what's the best thing in HVAC is a new system.
Yep.
So they're like, they train, like some of the
They train them to sell.
Yeah. They're like, they have a sales process for every deficiency in the system. Like, oh, dirty air filter. Here's the sales process to turn a dirty air filter into a new system.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is complete fucking horse shit.
Bad capacitor. Here's the sales process to turn that into a new system. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm not necessarily knocking it because you can't
should be. It's horse shit.
Well, you can't beat new. Right? Like some people want new and you can't beat new.
First off,
new installed properly is the best route.
You want to talk about that?
But a 5-year-old, like I've got a neighbor. They've been in their house like 7 years, right? They had somebody come out and they're like, oh, your AC shot. Need a new AC. And it's like, dude, your AC is like 7 years old. There's no fucking way you need a new one,
no,
right?
You don't need a new one.
Call in somebody else. Oh, just need a capacitor.
Oh my God.
Right? And so, like,
capacitors are $20, by the way.
Well, I mean, they're but the skill to diagnose it and everything. You should be okay spending $400 on a capacitor for the.
You should be okay spending $300 to $400.
The skill to diagnose it and the ethics.
Yeah.
To not like, there's value in the fact that he didn't say I need a new system.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, there are people that know the trade better than others, and one of the most annoying things out there is you get a guy who thinks he's really good in the trade because he's really good at selling repairs. And those are two completely different things. Yeah. Right?
So for me, like it's a fault for me, and I've always known this. I can fix anything.
Right.
Like I would never, ever pressure anyone into buying a system ever.
Right.
Like if they said, "Hey, I want a system," I would say, "Hey, are you sure?" Like that, and that's a mistake, right?
No, not necessarily.
But
that's a great sales tactic, actually.
Well, yeah, and I always had life. I still have people fucking call me, and I'm not doing it. I don't know what to tell you, but like I could fix anything, right? I can always diagnose the problem and get to perfect and get it fixed.
Yeah.
Like that's a problem for me.
Yep. So there are. And I'm not using this moment to brag. I don't want to say that at all.
Yeah, right.
But Austin and I put some videos on YouTube, and we're learning that there are some things where, like, I know plumbing to a level that a lot of people don't. Okay? I have an understanding at plumbing at a level that most people don't. Yeah. And so we have a video on YouTube for thermal expansion tanks. And we put it up 8 months ago. I'm looking at it on my phone right now. We put it up 8 months ago, and it has 178,000 views, and it has 1,000 comments. Okay, most of those comments talk about how awesome the video is and how this is a great training tool and all of that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say 1% of the comments, so 10 of them, are gonna be some fucking morons that are like, you don't need thermal expansion tanks, never needed them, don't need them.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they also live in extremely low pressure areas.
Or they live on a well where you don't need a thermal expansion tank if you're on a well.
Technically.
Because your bladder tank acts like a thermal expansion tank.
Damn it, Mitch. I was trying to show my plumbing expertise with bladder tanks, and you fucking took my glory.
But
man,
what this video means, and I'm not bragging about views on a video, right? Like 178,000 views on a fucking thermal expansion tank video.
That's a lot.
Is kind of crazy. But what it shows is there are 178,000 people out there that didn't know exactly how thermal expansion tanks work.
There's more than that.
Right. There's absolutely more than that. But in the last 8 months, there's nearly 200,000 people out there who didn't know how thermal expansion tanks worked and why you need them.
They know now, baby.
And now they know after watching our video, right?
Yeah.
We have another one for how to diagnose problems with electric water heaters. And that's got 80,000 views in a year. Electric water heaters aren't anything new. They've been around for years,
forever.
Right?
I just had to change my expansion
for
tank
our video to have, well, they don't last forever.
No, they don't.
Right?
I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying it's odd that you brought that up. I just had to change it.
For our 1-year-old video to have 80,000 views for how to diagnose a electric water heater, you know, where it keeps popping the red reset button. Like
what was the diagnosis?
Well, we walk through all the things it could be.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
And we use a multimeter and show everybody what you're looking for, right?
Like when you say that to me, like what we were talking about earlier about people that have been in, like you say, well, I used a multimeter. Well, yeah, no fucking shit. But that's taking for granted the fact that I know, you know what I mean? Like I know.
Well, and there's shitty ass plumbers out there that they walk up to an electric water heater that's got cold water, and what do they say? Well, I guess you need a new one.
Yeah.
And it's like,
need a new one if the fucking tank's leaking.
On an electric water heater, especially.
You can a rebuild kit at fucking Home Depot. What's it at Home Depot now? I have no idea.
I wouldn't buy one at Home Depot, but still, like
they're the same fucking ones they sell at Ferguson. What's a rebuild kit at Ferguson?
To fully rebuild an electric water heater with 2 new stats and 2 new elements, I think we're like $600.
Yeah.
Right. So for $600, you essentially get a brand new unit.
Yeah, as long as the tank
isn't leaking,
you're good.
I think on the video too, not only is it helpful for one, plumbers like watching other plumbers work, 2, for the DIYers, but I think 3, it kind of gives a customer who still wants to use a plumbing company, but at least they at least know if they're going to be bullcrapped or not.
Right. Right.
They can watch it ahead of time.
That's a good point.
Well, and that's where I'm going with this is yesterday I had a friend call me up over the weekend.
You said friend, like not...
Well...
You mean acquaintance?
We've never hung out outside of work. I'll say that.
Gotcha.
But we chat fairly often online and all that stuff. They live local here in Blue Springs. He messaged me on Sunday. I was actually in the middle of the Chiefs game.
He's not a real estate agent, was he?
No.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of the Chiefs game, and he's messaging me saying that his parents' water heater's not working, right? I think it's his in-laws' water heater's not working. And he's like, we were watching their house. I went over there. It's leaking from the top and the bottom.
Oh.
It's a 6-year-old gas water heater. It's toast, right? And so...
Only 6 years old and it's leaking water?
Well, and then he even did the research to find out that it wasn't a Home Depot or Lowe's water heater. It was purchased at a professional plumbing supply store. So it's a good water heater. And it's leaking at 6 years. Nope, it's out of warranty. So it's like 6 years and 3 months or something. And so I'm telling him, like, yeah, we can get out there. I actually we hold first calls open. So if you're a plumbing company or any home service company, the last call you book on a Monday is your first call. That's your gold, right? Yeah. You're going to have people calling in over the weekend that have an emergency that they've held off on calling. Your first call on Monday is your ticket, right?
Yeah.
So we book our first calls last. And so I'm like, I actually have a first call available tomorrow on Monday, if that works. And he's like, I'll make it happen, right? So we get our guy over there. He gives him our 3 water heater package options like we always do. The guy picks the middle option. For one, the guy's got 100 pounds of pressure coming in.
Was there an expansion tank on it before?
There was an expansion tank. There was a PRV. The PRV was never set properly, so they have 100 pounds of pressure coming in, and the expansion tank was cavitated. So the expansion tank failed, right?
Yeah.
Which means they put the PRV on and never adjusted it, and they put the expansion tank on and never aired it up.
Yeah.
Okay? So...
Well, they could have aired it up, but if you don't...
I doubt it.
If you don't balance that PRV, you're in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
So
For all of you that don't think I know about plumbing, get bent.
Yeah.
I do.
So we give him the options, and we end up selling him a water heater and an expansion tank, and he would not want to buy a new PRV. And he asked if we can adjust the current one, and the current one was like 7 or 8 years old, and we were like, we don't like to do that, because when you do that, they can develop some harmonics, they can start chattering, they can start groaning, and
well, it depends on what brand it is too. If it's a really good one,
I mean, it just kind of depends, right?
50-50 shot.
And so like in plumbing, if we touch it, we own it. So if we try to make an adjustment to it and then now it starts groaning, then you're going to look at us and be like, it didn't do that until you tried to adjust it. And so
just
essentially,
tell them that up front, man.
Well, that's what we did. We told him, like, if we try to adjust it, you have to be ready to buy a new one. And he's like, I don't even want to mess with it. Just do the expansion tank and the PRV, or expansion tank and the water heater.
Yeah.
So then his plumber of 20 years calls him back, right? And keep in mind, he called his plumber on Sunday and his plumber didn't return his call.
The guy that put the one in that's
now leaking, right? And so
I wouldn't have called him back either. Fuck that. Sunday,
so he calls him Sunday as we're cleaning up. We're already done, and we're wrapping up the job, or Monday, and we're wrapping up. And he's like, hey, how much would it have been to put in a new water heater? And of course, the plumbers, and this is the shittiest thing ever. If you're a plumber, don't ever fucking do this. Don't take the opportunity to give your customer some lowball number to make them regret who they used.
Oh, but that happens a lot.
It happens all the time. Like most plumbers won't put a water heater in for $1,400.
But they'll say they'll do it.
But they'll say they'll do it after they've lost the opportunity, just to freaking put a sword in there and twist it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So this guy's like, oh, I would have put it in for $1,400. And it's
maybe you should have fucking called yesterday, bitch.
Right. And then he's like, I could have a crew out there in an hour. Bullshit. You didn't even call him until noon on Monday.
Yeah.
Like, get over it, right? So what did the guy
do? Was he a dick about it?
No. So he calls up and he's like initially upset that he thinks he overpaid for his water heater and all this stuff. And so it took 30 or 40 minutes of talking with him. But because we're undeniable, I was able to tell him, like, you know, who put that other water heater up? Well, that's my plumber. Okay, well, we already know the water.
Don't you think it should have fucking lasted more than 6 years, bro?
Right.
Maybe he should have taken some time to add an expansion tank.
Exactly.
And jack off.
Well, he put in the expansion tank and the PRV at the same time, but I'm like,
well, you know what I mean.
Our indications, like, it's impossible to prove this, but typically when we see a 6-year-old water heater that was put in with an expansion tank and a PRV, and the PRV's not adjusted properly, and the expansion tank is cavitated, and the water heater has failed, typically means that they put in the right equipment, but they did it with the wrong knowledge level, and they did not set them properly.
Yeah, 100 pounds of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. Where was this at?
Here in Blue Springs.
Does it need to be 60?
80. 80 is the maximum allowable in a house. So I prefer 60. That's what I have in my house is 60.
I think mine's at like 70.
I edit these videos so much where I'm like, I think I'm like, over the next 5 years, I'll just become a plumber.
He might be.
Yeah.
Never turned a wrench, but he might know everything, right?
I know just enough to be a pain.
You know just enough to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, talking with the guy long enough, I was able to convince him, like, you know, I understand your other plumber might be cheaper. However, look what cheap got you. Cheap got you a water heater that failed at 6 years and your guy's not standing behind it. Whereas the water heater we just put in, we gave a 10-year warranty on it, and we're going to stand behind it in 10 years.
Yeah, when you call me on a Sunday, like you did last time,
right? I'm
going to say, oh, shit. Yeah, and that's under warranty, bud.
We're going to get you fixed.
Be out there tomorrow.
Right. And so, you know, the conversation went well. It never escalated. Nobody yelled or anything like that. And by the end of it, he recognized that you get what you pay for. And chasing the cheapest price didn't actually benefit him, right?
Right.
And so the conversation started out with, you guys screwed me and I wasted all this money. And the conversation finished with, yeah, you're right. This water heater probably is going to last longer than 6 years, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then it even finished with his other plumber coming and adjusting the PRV. He was going to come that evening and adjust the PRV. And I warned him, here's the things you might experience. And if you do experience this, it's not even I'm not taking the opportunity to throw your other plumber under the bus. It's not your other plumber's fault. Some PRVs, after sitting for 7 years with no adjustment, they don't like to be adjusted.
Yeah.
And so they start
That
making all these
spring and seat,
noises.
like they're just, they get fucked
they
up.
break a diaphragm like you just don't know. And so, you know, we capped it all with like, if you touch it, you own it. And we just don't like to touch it because then you're going to try to blame it on us. So it's better for us to just say, like, if we touch it, we'd rather replace it.
Yeah.
You know? And so, but the reason I'm saying all that is because I was able to actually reference our YouTube video on thermal expansion tanks. And that video gave us credibility. And he actually looked it up while he was on the phone with me. And he's like, damn, 170,000 views. Like, you must know what you're talking about. And I'm like, we do. And that's why
we're expensive, bitch.
Right. And you,
where's my check?
You get what you pay for. Like, we don't have water heaters that fail inside of 6 years. Our water heaters last forever because we install them properly.
Yeah.
And so becoming undeniably great at what you do, there is zero consequences with that. If you focus on delivering the best customer service, and if you focus on delivering the best service outside of the customer service, you focus on delivering the most educated service to the equipment, you're going to be undeniably great at what you do. And when you do that and you come up with these difficult customers, you can use it to your advantage. And, you know, this guy, he's not leaving us a bad review. He called in upset at how much he spent. He ended the phone call perfectly okay with what he spent. And now he's probably calling us in the future and not his other guy from here on out because he realizes his other guy gets him a half-life. Yeah. So his other guy saved him a couple $100
the first time,
but
actually cost him
because he had to replace all the equipment 6 years later because it fucking blew up.
Yeah.
So
that's well said. And
that's part of why you want to become undeniable in your industry. And if you're wanting to start your own business and you don't have the initiative out there to be the best at what you do, then you probably need to check yourself on why you want to start your own business. Because if you're wanting to start your own business for some kind of cash grab, you're going to have a poor Google rating. You're going to have tons of upset customers because everybody can see right through the cash grab.
Well, now, or just raise your level. Like take this as an opportunity to say, you know what? I don't go to that next level, even though I know how to be there and I have the knowledge to be there, but I wasn't going to try to do that. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just raise your level.
Well, and so here's the perks of becoming undeniable. And again, I'm not saying this to brag. We have 750 Google reviews, and we still have a 5.0 rating, right? I've only ever heard of one company out there that has crested 1,000 Google reviews that still has a 5.0 rating, and they aren't even a home services company. They're actually a mortgage company. They buy and sell homes.
How is that possible?
They're not
they're all sleazy.
They're not realtors. Well, these people do it right.
Sleazy motherfuckers.
But for a home service company to have 750 Google reviews and still a 5.0 rating, like, customers don't question that. So what I'm saying is we focus so much on delivering the proper customer experience and we focus so much on delivering the best service experience out there.
You've gained that trust before you start.
We've gained the trust, right? So when a customer calls in upset at what they paid for a water heater, they can check our Google reviews. They can check our YouTube videos and the crazy amount of views.
You up.
Exactly.
It's your backup.
It's undeniable that we are the experts in the field.
Yeah.
And the guy that you're trying to compare us to that didn't call you back until 1 o'clock on a Monday and that didn't put in a water heater that lasted longer than 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even hold a candle to that guy. Like, that guy's in a totally different class.
Yeah.
And so it solves all of those upset customer conversations to be like, yeah, you did pay more, but look what you got.
Yeah, it gives you ammo.
You got the best out there, right? Yeah. And so that's the benefits of becoming undeniable is it solves a lot of those poor customer interactions for you.
And the thing is, though, it takes conscious effort to be that.
Yes.
Like, you can't just...
Focused
you
effort.
Can't just say, hey, I'm going to be the best, and there's just... No, you have to You have to put the processes in place. You have to have the training if you have guys. You have to go above and beyond, and you have to be literally thinking about that on every job.
And
every stinking job. And you got to be thinking about that.
A very important part of this, we've tweaked our customer experience multiple times since we've opened, okay? When we get the people calling in, questioning their bill, questioning their experience and all of that stuff, I still go back and analyze the customer interaction and learn and recognize, did we drop the ball on our process, or is our process in need of improvement, right? And so we've tweaked our process several times because maybe we get 2 or 3 people call in with concerns, and their concerns are like, yeah, our process doesn't really cover that. So we need to mold our process to now cover that concern.
Yeah.
So in this case, we didn't have to do that. But in other cases, we have, right? We've had to modify our process a little bit. And that is part of becoming undeniable, is you are, without fail, you are constantly in quest of delivering the best customer service. And the wrong position you can take is assuming you deliver the best customer service, right? Like,
there's always room for improvement.
Right. We have a 5.0 rating and 750 Google reviews, and I'm still looking for ways to improve our customer experience.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't doing that, I guarantee you we wouldn't have a 5.0 rating. Guarantee it.
It takes conscious effort.
Yeah, consistent
all the
effort.
Time. Yeah.
So distraction kills more dreams than anything else out there. Distraction kills more dreams than competition, right? And it's because people are easily
fuel success.
Right. Well, people are easily distracted by anything else, right? They're distracted by money. They're distracted by getting to a new income level, and they're able to buy the thing that they were never able to afford before. They're able to go out to dinner and they weren't able to do that before, or whatever else.
Yeah.
And they allow that to distract them. Well, my focus is on the best plumbers and the best customer experience, and a byproduct of that is a successful business. My focus is not the successful business, right? If I got distracted with customer experience and the best service imaginable, if I got distracted off of that by the money that the company could bring in, my business would go downhill fast, right?
Well, your customer satisfaction would.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, I have to stay focused on the customer experience and the quality of service that we're delivering in order to keep producing the results we've been doing.
That's kind of almost like a goal versus habit mindset, where you're like, you're concerned with good habits and processes that compound over time.
Yeah, for you to reach that goal.
Yeah, versus like, oh, we get to eat out this week,
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Just,
yeah, the guy that wants to lose weight, he's so focused on a scale number that he doesn't realize that he's exchanging body fat for muscle. And so he's focused on the wrong thing, right?
He may be actually gaining a little bit of weight.
He may
oh man, what the fuck?
Right, or
but he's actually healthier than he thought he was.
He may not be losing any weight, but he's losing fat and gaining muscle at the same rate. And so, but he's focused on the scale number instead of focused on the small pieces that go into a healthy lifestyle.
That's right.
Right.
Those 1% changes every day is.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's sad,
It's absolutely huge. So
wrap us up, Mitch.
That's all we got for today. So if you guys have any questions or comments, do not hesitate to email us into the show. You can email questions at askmitch@mitchsmedley.com. If this show provided you value, if you learned something new, please do us a favor and do 2 things. For one, whatever app you're listening on, go to that app and give us a 5-star review, if that's Spotify or iTunes, or give us a thumbs up on YouTube, or whatever the case may be.
Do something. We're working hard over here.
And then also feel free to help share this show. So if you see somebody asking questions about starting their service-based business, please tell them to go listen to The Void.
That's right.
Because that's why we're here, is to help you guys get off and get started and get to a very healthy level. So until next week, guys, we will see you later.
Love you guys.